Hello, welcome to broadcast of the first initiation of this podcast. All right, this podcast will be focusing around um nostalgic 80s retrospects, anything that got to do with our past, anything got to do with history. That's basically the premise of this channel, right? If you're not aware, this channel is called Celebrating Retros, but it's just not just to limit to retros, but limited to anything that happened in the past. But primarily, I lived through the 80s and 90s, so it's those the thing that I'm more familiar with. So most of the content will be focusing on those kind of things. Um, this I feel like the reason why I want to create this channel, this podcast, is to focus on the thing, to reminisce, think of the thing that happened in the past, to teach people what happened in the past, to make people understand what it was like living these things in history, living in time where video game was blowing up, living times where the movie was hype, living in times where people go out to the movies, stand in line and blockbusters, living in time where people go out to rental videos, the 80s and 90s, right? For the new kids right now, they're born in the 2000, they have no idea what is this feeling's gonna like. People who are like 20 years old, 25 years old, they probably have a vague memory because last time I checked, what Blockbuster went out like in the mid 2000s, 2005, six or something like that. When Netflix came out, that's what I remember when Blockbuster went out of business because people at that time it was streaming at its infancy and people just getting used to it, the convenience of streaming. All right, that leads to we already know that what that leads to the diminish of rental sales. Like, why would you go out to the rentals, movie rentals, or going to the movie in general? Why would people have any incentive to go that when they have the convenience of watching the movie right directly to your home? And that, in my opinion, might could be, could be a bad thing, a good thing, no matter how you look at it. But it's a good thing for the consumers because they have choices and it's convenience for them. But it's a bad thing in a way for the businesses because now not only the businesses, the consumer kind of destroy themselves or shot themselves in the foot because they're reaping themselves of these experiences like going to the movies, going to the rental videos, spend all those time wandering around the aisles, trying to decide what movie you want to watch, turn the box over, right? Do you remember last time you went to a video store? You go to a video store, right? You turn the box over and you read the synopsis. You read the synopsis and that describe you the movie. And the people who wrote that, they had to be very descriptive in order to captivate you to wanting to watch these movies, right? And you watch it and I'm captivated by oh snap that I want to watch this. You know, you watch the little clips on the back of the videos, right? That's how media was consumed back in the days. All right, and then if we want to watch it, we rent it. We take it to the counter, check it. They put it they put it. You know how Blockbuster you have to check it out. Then see that even that process was gone too now. People don't even know that process anymore. How do you check out video Blockbuster? You stand in line in the aisle. Where they have the concessions, right? We have the concession with the popcorn and candy, try to entice you to buy these stuff. Then when you go actually get out to the counter, now they scan your video, click, give you the receipt, and then put before they hand it to you, you have to walk across the metal detector on the other side. Then they can hand you your stuff, so it won't trigger the metal detector. And then you went on your merry ways watching your videos, right? Watch your videos. That's your whole diet. All right, you don't have to think about any activity. You watch all the videos. The next day you return it. Right? Or you watch it again before you return it, right? So those experiences are gone. I mean, those experiences can only be told through the medium of podcasting conversations, and that's why I want to create these channels, the podcast, to reflect on what it was like back then, so people can understand and know what it's like. Because if you don't know what it was like back then, right? Then I don't know, man. You gotta learn your history, right? That's the important thing of history. You learn your thing that happened back in the day, so you won't repeat itself, right? So, for instance, if you want these kind of experience back, right, a new business can pop out, um, right, and then it promote people try to promote it to be a feasible business again. For example, vinyl. Vinyl was disappearing, right? And what happened? People got back on the vinyl trend. The stores start selling vinyls. People got a glimpse what it's like to buy vinyls. You go up to the store and you look every album. You remember when you go to a record store, you look every album, you look, oh snap, and you start seeing the song. And not only that, you could listen some modernized like Tower Records back in the days. You could listen to a song before you buy it. That used to be a thing back in the days, right? They let you listen to a song, and sometimes not even the full song. It's only like 1 minute of the song, right? And then you make your decisions going to buy it. That's how archaic it was back in the days. But again, it had this aura, is a nostalgic thing about it that that captivate people of my generations who were raised up in the 80s and 90s, right? Those generations before we hit the millenniums, right? I could remember those days. But knowing that, I'm not just only limited to the 80s and 90s. I love the 70s. I love the 60s, right? I love mid century modern. I love all those stuff, all those Americana things back in the back when back when it was amazing. Back when things used to be quality, right? Things used to be made with quality. Not only that, I like the fact that some game are focuses on that, but like Fallout, right, took place in the 50s or whatever it is, right? And then it brings nostalgia back to the people who never experienced it to relive that kind of experience again, right? In the 50s, mid century modern, the Googie architecture, right? The flash, the big, how they advertised back in the days with the road signs, with the neon lights, you know, those are very interesting to me, and that's basically the podcast. Whatever things that pop into mind that I want to talk about, those kind of topics. That's what the main focus of the podcast is going to be. I'm not even sure I'm going to do periodically or weekly podcasts. Maybe I'm gonna start with weekly podcasts and go out through the decades, and then I have sections in the podcast or or reviews of certain albums I picked up, right? But that's basically what it is. It's not just celebrating retro. Anything that have to do with retrospective, right? 80s, 90s, galore, Emporium, all that stuff, right? That captivates people, that people of my generation, we want to relive it again, because those are the best time of our lives. Now when we're adult, now we have to subjugate ourselves to adulthood, right? Where it's very kind of depressing and bleak a little bit. I know some people are not on the same page, but but what people can connect with is what happened in the past. Whatever's negative or positive, but we're only focused on the positive here. The good things about what make us happy in the past. That's the point of this podcast. But yeah, this is gonna be a brief video. I'm just making it short and concise. I mean, check, it's gonna be check back, subscribe. You want select, share, subscribe. But I will be back with more episodes discussing the topics that's on my hand, on my mind. You can see in the title. But on that note, guys, it's gonna be a brief videos, brief introductions of what the channel is gonna be. We're talking about the past. All right, I don't know what's maybe the podcast will be the retro time warp time machine podcast, whatever it is, right? But I haven't figured it out yet. We'll figure it out as we go. But on that note, guys, thank you for listening to me. Thank you for your time, man. As always, like, share, subscribe, and I'll follow back with another episode. Peace.